We are living in a technological era where everything is being rapidly changed, well, such as the environment, the language, the occupation, transportation, and the education is no exception. Therefore, the application of technology in language teaching has certainly been an ongoing trend. The module Technology in Language Teaching by Ms. Zhang has gone more than halfway with many interesting lessons about ICT tools that can help teachers and students interact with each other easier through cyberspace. So in this video, we, Group 7, will integrate two ICT tools into practical teaching. We are going to teach two small reading parts, which are activity 1 and 4 in Unit 5 English 10 using two different ICT tools. Okay, moving on to the onset of this reading lesson, we'll have a pre-reading warm-up activity, which is activity 1. This activity requires students to name some things people have invented to make up for what they cannot do. Simple as it may seem, such activity is very important as it will help the students to get the hang of the main ideas of the topic as well as stimulate them to read. Ergo, to teach this activity effectively, Mentimeter would be a great ICT tool to help us out. Without further ado, let's get straight to the demo.
Now, I'm going to show you how to apply Mentimeter in your teaching. I'm already signed into my demo account here. So let's get started. Now we are going to start by clicking on New Recitation. This will open up the Recitation Builder. We have a number of different areas. On the left-hand side, we have an overview of all slides, and we can easily add multiple slides we want. On the right-hand side, we can see the different elements that can be added into our slide. Here you can see there are so many kinds of questions here. Multiple choice, word cloud, open-ended questions, scales, ranking, and Q&A. Today I will select word cloud for the first activity of the lessons. Here on the tab content, I can now fill out my question here. Here, it shows you how many answers your student can submit at one time. On top of that, you can add your image into your slide here. You can also allow students to submit and then resubmit another answer here. Next to the content, we have an option to customize your slide. In this style, you can select the layout that you like. On top of that, you can set how your slide works when you are presenting. So now your recitation is ready. Click on Present at the top to start your lesson. Students have to go to menti.com. And they need to enter this code to join. And then they can start submitting answers here. Students will be able to see their answers on the teacher's screen. You can see that those words come straight into the screen. This word cloud can show you what are the common answers for those kinds of questions. The more common an answer is among students, the bigger it appears on the screen. That's how you create your interactive questions by using Mentimeter.
Another ICT tool that we are going to recommend in teaching is Quizizz. Quizizz is an online platform that offers multiple features to make a classroom fun, interactive, and engaging. As a teacher, you can have interaction with your student for a grades in a captivating way. No matter which IT level you are in, I guarantee Quizizz is super simple to learn and completely free to use. All right, we don't need to beat around the bush anymore. Now, let's get to the main point. When it comes to activity number 4, which belongs to the word reading stage, it's an activity in which students try to answer the question about the text they just read to check their comprehension. So, how can we make use of this ICT tool in designing activity 4 more engagingly? Instead of asking students to write the answer on piece of papers and spending a lot of time collecting them from 30 or 40 students in the class as traditional methods. Let's get started.
All right, hello everyone. Now let's see how Quizizz can be applied in making activity number 4 more engaging and even competitive. First, click on Create and then choose New Quiz. After that, name the quiz and choose the relevant subject to it. So the name of the quiz is Answer the Questions about the text, which is the requirement of activity number 4. And then choose English. Next. Here is where you select the kind of question. In this case, we would need to choose fill in the blank because these questions are non-multiple choice questions. So hit on that. And then at this page, I would strongly recommend preparing the question and answers in advance, just like I did. So I'll copy the question into this box. Here, remember to choose Contents because you would only expect the core content or the core answer from the students only, not anything around that. Like for this question, your students might submit the inventions that imitate animals are blah blah blah, or the inventions are, or even they are. So all of that stuff is not something we expect most. What we want most is aeroplane and submarine. So that's why you need to choose contents so that all those variations could be included. The second thing you need to pay attention to is that you need to prepare the variations of an answer. Like it could be comma and without comma or without and. Also, tell your students to pay close attention to punctuation as well, like comma, space, and then and, not comma, and then and. This will help them in the long run as well as they grow up and they need to type or even write using the comma in a proper way. Okay, so let's put these answers in. Click on Add an alternative answer to add another variation. Remember to hit Contents. Alright, we're done, and now save it. So you're done with the first question. In activity number 4, we have 6 questions in total, but I picked only question 1 and question 3 for demonstration because question 1 requires your students to list, which is pretty much the same as 2, 4, 5, and 6, like the rest. While number 3 expects a reason from your students, so it kind of stands out from the rest. That's why I picked these 2 to give you the overall look of how you can apply Quizizz in this case. So to create another question, click on New Question, fill in the blank, and just repeat the process. Remember, for the why question, The answers, as always, should be short and concise so that it can include your students' answers as much as possible. Just prepare the core content of the answers. Click on travel long distances. Remember to choose contains. And now it's ready. Click on save. At this stage, you should select the grade because Quizizz would really want you to do that. Otherwise, you cannot continue. And you can even select who can see it. So I'll choose private. Click on save. And bingo, you're good to go. Now you can start a live quiz. To get your students to join up, click on start a live quiz. And then choose the classic mode. Remember not to choose the instructor pace mode because it will put your students in an unpleasant rush because they cannot progress at their own pace. So choose the classic mode. Here, scroll down to the settings section. The default setting of Quizizz is basically okay. All you would need to turn off is the shuffle questions settings. Remember to keep it off because the questions we are going to give them are comprehension ones, which means they should be in chronological order as they should in the passage so that your students wouldn't get confused. Alright, then let's get things started by clicking on continue. Then the enter join code will pop up on the screen. You can simply share this onto the large screen in front of the class or share it via Google Classroom or MS Teams or even click on the code and then it will be automatically copied to clipboard and then send it to your class. Now, two have joined. Let's get started.
After submitting their answer, they can see their ranking in the leaderboard, which boosts their sense of competition and leads to much more motivation and engagement.
When the quiz is done by all of the participants, which are your students, a leaderboard will show up like this. And they could also see this on their screen too. Here comes the analysis process of teachers like us. You can really see what the toughest question is and other stuff in quiz highlights, or just simply click on review questions. Here you can see what your students submitted. You can check if they made any mistake or had a different opinion that you would need to ask them for clarification.
That's all for our video today. We expect that thanks to what we have just provided, you will be able to take advantage of ICT tools, specifically Mentimeter and Quizizz in teaching English engagingly and effectively. I ensure not only do teachers benefit from this ICT tool to aspire to their lesson, but student motivation can be also simulated. Their performance as well as achievement will be improved considerably. It's high time to say goodbye. Last but not least, we wish you a Merry Christmas!